This is Kathy. And one of the things we want to remind you, that drawing that you just saw Emma talking about, we made that as a handout, but didn't get it in there. So we will get it in there for you next week. I want to make sure. So we're going to talk about the use of sensory channels. And it has been adapted. And so understand that there is a reference to it on the bottom of the page, but there are things we're going to enlarge at times on the screen so that you can see it clearly and it won't seem like a blur because it's done and it's printed and there's a lot of information on the page. So just be prepared for that. Emma? So this is what the form looks like, and you do have a handout of this form. It's going to look a little bit different. We reformatted it, trying to make it accessible for screen readers, and so there you'll see some changes in the forms that you might see on the screen, but it has the same information. And with this form, what we're looking for is us meaning you and me, filling it out when we're watching a student work or play, do whatever they're doing. And we might write down certain things that the student's doing and then think about, is he using his vision more? Is he using touch more? Is he using the auditory more? Is he using the taste and smell? That's the olfactory and gustatory. That's what the OG means. Or is he using proprioceptive and vestibular sense? So what we're trying to do is to find out, is there a primary sensory channel that this child is using, or are there a couple? And it doesn't mean that whatever you find out by doing this, that it won't change. It could change that all of a sudden, because of working with the student and the student understanding, his vision may show up more often because he's learning how to use it better. And then there's a key which you'll use, and we'll go to the next slide. And we're looking for that primary channel and maybe even a secondary channel. So what does the student do when they are on their own or in a new activity with you? So that's one of the places you might want to do this kind of an observation, is to see, what is it, so that I can start writing down the observation. And know that when you're writing down what you see the child doing, you're going to write what you see the child doing exactly. You are not going to write down what you think they're doing. You pay attention to exactly what you see them doing. And so we'll show you an example, and we'll do that a little bit later. We just want you to keep in mind about how important your observation is. Okay. So this is Eli, and Eli has typical vision and hearing. In the following video, I want you to pay attention to the senses that Eli is using. This is a new toy he just got, and the amount of movement he does during this activity. Okay, so, you might have seen that, and if I hadn't told you that he had normal vision or hearing, you might have said to yourself, I wonder what kind of a vision loss he has or hearing loss he has. When children are very young, they spend a lot of time using all of their senses in a way that as we get older, we start letting go of, because we get more information visually or auditorily instead of through touch or vibration. And that toy vibrated. And those are the pieces I want you to think about too, as you're watching the children in all of these videos. Pay attention to the kind of movement they're doing. Movement is crucial for learning. And that makes it tough for some of our students who may have some additional physical issues. But it becomes, what can we do to make this work? Okay. So this is Chris, and you all might remember him from the last session. He has a moderately severe sensory neural hearing loss, and he sees about 8 inches in front of him. He's in a stander, and this is a fairly new activity for him. And in the following video, I want you to note Christopher's actions, his body language, his facial expressions, and keep in mind, one of the things we know about him is that he likes shiny things. He likes sound, loud sound. So those are 2 things to think about and why this activity might have been chosen to do with him. So this is that use of sensory channels we talked about. And what we did was write down exactly what we saw him do. And then we looked at, is it visual? Is it tactile or touch? Is it auditory? Is it olfactory or gustatory, taste and smell? Or is it proprioceptive and vestibular? So one of the things we looked at, we tallied that all up, and I think the next page is going to show the amount. And so this was the rest of it. And so what we looked at was, gee, what does this tell us about where his sensory channels might work best? So visually, he got a 5. That's not a score. It's just how many times. He got a 10 in tactile and touch. He got an 8 in auditory. He got a 1 in olfactory and gustatory, although there wasn't a lot there for him to use those 2 senses. And then the proprioceptive vestibular was 18. So one of the things we did is we looked at some of the activities that they were doing in class, and almost all of them in a typical preschool class are visual and auditory, are very auditory and visual. And so those are 2 of his less strong senses. So we started talking about what could you do to change that. And we took this information and we ended up making movement a part of when they picked a song. There were certain movements he could use, such as row, row, row your boat, holding a baton and going back and forth on that song, so that he was touching something and he was moving something, and he was moving with it. Go ahead.